friends, welcome back to my kitchen. Welcome if you're new. I'm Cheryl, this is Table Full of Joy. And friends, I'm excited. I got a package from Amazon today, and this, I've been waiting for it because, as you guys, we've talked about this before, I am really paying attention now to the ingredients that are on our food, and I'm trying to do things as healthy as I possibly can, as chemical free as I possibly can, as preservative free as I possibly can, trying to get rid of all those things out of our diet as much as I possibly can. Is it going to be perfect? No. Are there going to be days where I'm going to grab something? Yes. But for the most part, I'm going to try as hard as I can. As we start to run out of things that we use all the time, I'm going to start looking for a healthier way, a cleaner way to have that, whatever it is. Lots of things are going to be super easy to swap out. But there is a side dish that you guys have heard me talk about. I've actually had it in my videos several times. We've had it as a side dish. It's one of my favorites, and it's called, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, it's Virgo, I think is the brand. It's a red beans and rice. They also have a yellow rice. They have a Spanish rice or Mexican rice, and they have an avocado rice. They're super, super tasty. Really, really good. But I made the mistake of looking at the ingredients, and there's a lot of chemicals in there and a lot of things that I'm like, no, I don't want to eat that anymore. So I love that dish, and I love using that as a base, adding some chicken to it and some veggies and making a one pot thing, adding some sausage to it and whatever else. So I did some research, paid attention to the ingredients that are in there that have to be in it, not the chemicals, not the additives that they put in it, but just the ingredients that have to be in it. And I ordered some things to start off my pantry to get myself more ready to start doing some of these things that have to have like a dehydrated type of vegetable or something in it that isn't an easy swap out for a fresh. So I did start, as you can see back here, right there. I went to our local Winco and I stocked up on some dehydrated minced onion and garlic and parsley and chives. And then I just got a package today, and I'm super excited about this. So this company is called Mother Earth Products. If you've never heard about them, I've bought things from this company in the grocery store before, but I never looked for them on Amazon, and I did. And I found so many things, and I'm so excited. So what I ordered, what I got is some dehydrated celery. I got some dehydrated tomato flakes. And all of these, see if I can get, okay, I can get a shot. You can see right there, if it'll focus, the ingredient is just tomatoes. That's all that's in there. There's nothing else in it. Same with, like, this one is the bell peppers that I need for this specific thing. But there's also times when I need bell peppers for something and I don't have any fresh in my house. I'm not gonna go to the store. So this one too, as you can see, if it'll focus, the ingredients is just bell peppers. So we got bell peppers, we got celery, we got tomato flakes, we got jalapeno pepper pieces. I did get some potato dices, which I'm excited to have that for potato soups, potato soup mixes, and all those things. I also got some dehydrated spinach and some dehydrated pinto beans. There are times when I want beans and I don't want to have to go to the hassle of soaking them and cooking them and doing all the things. I've looked at canned beans. No, thank you. The amount of salt that's in those is not good for me because I have high blood pressure. And also the chemicals they put in, even if you're buying an organic canned bean, they still have stuff in them. So this red beans and rice, we're gonna try making this tonight with, I grabbed some sausage. These are natural Italian sausages from Fred Meyer. Fairly clean ingredients. There isn't a lot of stuff. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so it's just chicken, salt, spices, vinegar, lemon juice, a little bit of sugar, paprika, garlic powder. I don't like the natural flavors, but you know, we're not going perfect here. We're just trying to cut out. So in what I'm thinking is even small changes are good changes. And so even eliminating a little bit of that out of the diet is going to have a huge benefit. So I cut up those sausage right here. We're going to put these in our pot over here. Going to get those cooked and get some caramelization on those. And then we're going to use our pinto beans, and we're going to use our bell peppers. And I might put just a little bit of jalapeno in it. They don't call for it in their ingredient list, but hubby loves things spicy, so I may put just a little bit of the dried jalapeno. And then we've got our onions and garlic back there that would go in there. We're going to use some chicken bouillon. and we're gonna make this. And I hope and I pray this is just as delicious as my favorite mix in a bag that I can now make at home, super easy, because these things are gonna last me quite a while. These are gonna go on my pantry shelf. They're dehydrated, so they're fresh. They're gonna last quite a while on my shelf, and I'll be able to make all kinds of fun things. So let's head over to the stove. I'm gonna get my pot hot in there, get that sausage in there, get that started cooking up so we can start to make this red beans and rice. All right, so I just turned my pot on about a medium heat. I'm gonna put some olive oil in here because we need to cook all of this sausage up. I don't want to put the sausage in here until my pan is nice and hot because I don't want to stew or steam that sausage. I want to get some really, really good color on it. I took the casings off because these were in my freezer, and when I started to cut them up, the casing started to come off. So it may crumble, it may stay together. I don't really care because it's going to stay in because it's going to cook with those beans and add some more flavor. Like I said, even though this regular recipe in the pack does not call for sausage, this is how I use this red beans and rice. I like to add things to it. So we're just gonna try to do it with sausage in it and see how this tastes as far as the red beans and rice part of this goes. Our pan is feeling hot, so we're gonna drop our sausage in here. This is 1 pound of chicken sausage links. All right, friends, we got some beautiful color on our sausage in here. So we're gonna start putting in our dehydrated stuff as well as our rice and our bouillon, and then we're gonna add our water. So I've got 1 cup of rice, and I wanna kind of saute that just a little bit in that sausage drippings. There's not a lot of fat in here, but there's a little bit, and I wanna let it have a chance to really start to kind of absorb some of that flavor. I've got my dehydrated celery. We're going to add about a tablespoon of celery. Maybe a tablespoon and a half. we're eyeballing this for tonight. We've got our dehydrated bell peppers. And this one I'm going to put, so it says 1 tablespoon dehydrates to about a cup of fresh bell pepper. So I'm just going to put that 1 tablespoon in there. That should be good. We're going to put in a little bit of parsley. Put in about a half a tablespoon just for some good color in there. I've got some dehydrated onion. And I have just a little bit left from when I filled my containers. I'm just going to put the rest of this in here. Get that off of my counter. So we're just going to keep stirring this around as the rice starts to toast up. We're going to put a little bit of dehydrated garlic in here. I think we'll put about a half a tablespoon. And then I've got my chicken bouillon, and I'm going to put in about a half a tablespoon or so, maybe just a hair over. And we're just going to kind of toast these things up over the heat. I turned my burner down, so it's over low heat right now. We need to still put our beans in, but I want to toast all this stuff up really quick. You can see what this looks like down here with all of our dehydrated veggies and our chicken sausage and our rice. I'll put my beans in after I dump my water in. So I've got 2 cups of water. It's gonna need more than 2 cups. So I'm gonna put another probably 1.5 cups. As I said, we are experimenting here, so I'm not really sure what the exact ratios are gonna be. I'm gonna put in about, I'm gonna say about a half a cup of these dehydrated beans. It smells amazing. I think that's enough of our dehydrated beans. So we're gonna bring this up to a boil, and then I'm going to put the lid on it and turn it down and let it simmer, because we want to reconstitute our beans, cook our rice, reconstitute our veggies that we put in here, our celery and peppers and onions and garlic and all that stuff. We're going to rehydrate all that stuff in here. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, because I'm not, like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this. So we're doing this together. So I'm going to put this, like I said, on a little higher heat, let it come to a boil, reduce it to simmer. While it's doing that, I'm going to go write down exactly what I've put in here so that I know, so that when we taste it, we can make some adjustments to what we need. I have not put any salt in this yet. I am going to put in some fresh pepper. None of this, the chicken does have a little bit of salt in the sausage itself. So I'm going to wait to salt this until I see what the salt is with the sausage. But this looks incredible already. This looks so good. All right, I'm going to let this sit here and simmer. I'm going to go make some notes about what we did to our red beans and rice. It's coming to a boil. I'm going to turn it down, put my lid on it, let this simmer for about 20 minutes. All right, friends, you can see what this looks like now. So I did have to come back in here and put 2 more cups of water in this. So I went ahead and adjusted my notes on my notepad. I wrote down all of the ingredients. So I did not put a ton of seasonings in this, because I wanted to get to a base so I can kind of play with the seasonings and figure out what's going to work for this. So I'm going to give this a really quick taste. I want to see if my beans are done, my rice is done, and then we can start playing with some seasonings and try to figure out what else needs to go in this. Friends, that does not have hardly any seasonings in it other than the chicken stock. And that is, wow. Okay, friends, that is so close to that rice and beans that I get in the packet. And this is made with nothing that has any chemicals. There is no chemicals in this at all. This is all just rice, good healthy chicken sausage, dehydrated veggies. That is amazing. Look at that, friends. That looks so good. Hubby is going to be so happy. I am going to add a little bit of my Kinder's caramelized onion butter. I know their seasonings are not super clean. I don't even really like looking at the ingredients, but we're going to add just a little bit of this caramelized onion butter just to kind of take it right over the top. And that's the nice thing about doing stuff like this that comes in a mix ordinarily. You can customize the seasonings to whatever you want. This is perfect. All right, we're going to let this sit here and just kind of chill out for a little bit. We're not quite ready for dinner, but at least this is done. It literally took no time at all. It took about as much time as it did for me to make the packet. It's exactly the same. So yeah, this makes me so happy, and it was so worth it getting the Mother Earth dehydrated veggies. That made all the difference for this. On this and let this sit, and this is going to be delicious. And here it is, our red beans and rice. We like to put a little bit of cheese and sour cream on this. That's how we like to serve it. So let's get this done. So I made up some salad. That's the leftover tomato. I'm going to put a little bit of cheese on this. I love putting a little cheese, whatever you've got, cheddar, pepper jack, whatever. You just want a little bit of cheese on here. Just adds a little bit of extra flavor. And then we like to put a little bit of our favorite Daisy sour cream. Just kind of gives it a little bit of richness. Hubby will want some jalapeno on his, but this is how I eat mine. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another delicious recipe. All right, friends, we are back in the kitchen this morning. It is Thursday. I am headed to Bible study, and I'm bringing scones again. We do have this theme going, scones and tea, while we study the book of Psalms, and it's just super fun. So I'm taking the pressure off of our Bible study leader again this morning. Her daughter has been really sick. And so I'm making scones this morning for everybody. So we're going to do some more sourdough discard scones. These are a strawberry scone. I looked and looked forever. There was a scone I wanted to do, and I could not find a recipe for it. So I'm going to have to create my own, but this was not the morning to do that. I don't have time to play with spices and everything. So we're just going to go with something that's going to be delicious. So let's get these scones made because we need to get out the door very soon. So I'm really thankful that these scones don't have to chill. These are going to go straight into the refrigerator. So I've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of sugar in here. I'm trying to eliminate some dishes this morning, so I'm going to use that same measuring cup for the other 2 ingredients. We need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and we're using our Redmond's real salt. We need 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. This is a super easy scone recipe, really basic. If anybody's afraid of making scones, these are a perfect ones to make because they are super easy, minimal ingredients, almost can't screw these up. We've got a cup of fresh strawberries here. We're going to toss these in here. We're going to toss all this together. I'm just going to use a whisk to kind of coat everything, kind of get that flour and the sugar and everything combined, but also to get it kind of lightened before we start anything else. The other thing that we're doing is we're going to grate our butter into our mixture. Come on. That is the best way when you're making any kind of pastry, is to grate your butter. I have a 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick. My oven is preheated to 425. I just stuck this butter in the fridge this morning, or in the freezer this morning, just to get it super, super cold while I was taking a shower, getting ready for the day. I just let it sit in there and get nice and chilled. Now comes the fun part, getting the paper off of it. And like before, when I have used frozen butter to grate, I'm going to keep my wrapper on it partially, so that I'm not putting my hot hand in contact with that butter. And we're just going to start grating this butter directly into our flour. This is a great way to do this. One of the most time-consuming things about making biscuits, making pie dough, any of that kind of stuff, is when you have to stand there and cut the butter into the flour. And to me, that is such a huge chore. It's a pain. I hate doing it. But when you grate your butter from frozen like this, you can already see that it's super small pieces. You don't have to do anything to this. You literally just toss this into the flour and you've got your butter to the correct size that you need for getting it coated, and it melts beautifully in the oven. When it hits the heat, really creates that steam and the lightness and flakiness that you want in your pastry. So really super cold butter from the freezer for maybe an hour. Mine's been in there a little bit longer. I put it in this morning when hubby was getting ready for work. So it's been in there for a couple of hours, but that's okay. It's fine. I get all this butter out of my grater. I don't want to waste any of that. Okay, so we're going to toss this around in here. Like I said, I'm going to pull up my rings really quick. All right, so we've got our butter. I'm not going to touch the butter. I'm just going to really gently toss it with my fingers into my flour and my strawberries. Okay, I think that looks pretty good right there. All right, I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse real fast because I need to do the wet ingredients. We're going to do a 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Looks about right. We also need a 1/2 cup of our sourdough discard. I have not fed my sourdough yet today, so I'm just going to pour it right out of here, and I will feed it later. I'm ready to put this into a clean jar today anyway, so. Okay, think that is about a half cup. Just going to use my whisk to kind of clean out my measuring cup. I love the smell of the strawberries already. They smell so good. All right, we need to put in a little bit of vanilla, about a teaspoon, a little bit of lemon zest. Make sure you're getting only the yellow and not getting any of that white pith, because that is really, really bitter. Well, all that beautiful oil. I'm going to leave my lemon out and my zester because I'm going to make a lemon glaze for this in a minute. All right, so we're going to mix these up and we're going to pour this directly into our bowl with our dry ingredients. We're going to toss everything together. I'm going to grab a spatula because I don't want to miss any of this mixture that's here. All right, let's go ahead and combine our wet into our dry. I love the smell of the lemon. Lemon to me is such a classic spring flavor. It just smells so refreshing, and I want to make sure I get all of this out. All right, I'm going to toss this with my spatula, get it to come together, and then we're going to put it on the board. I want to get all of this dry flour here moistened with that cream and starter mixture. All right, I'm going to scoop all this off of here. I'm going to get in the bowl with my hand so I can kind of get this compacted down together. Wearing long sleeves and making scones is not a good idea. Let me just tell you. I want to be really careful not to smash my strawberries because I don't want to turn my scones pink, but I do want to make sure that I get all of that dry flour off the bottom of my bowl. Try to get that all mixed together. I love making scones. Start putting this down on my board and getting it kind of compacted together. Use the dough that's in here to pick up that dry dough that didn't get mixed in yet. Had some extra strawberries, but we're not going to need those. So we're just going to take our hands and we're going to kind of work this dough just a little bit. I don't want to overwork it, but I definitely want to get it so that it's all together so that I can cut these scones and get them on our baking sheet. I think I need to grab just a little bit of flour. It's a little bit sticky. Like I said, I don't want a ton of flour down here because I don't want to make these super tough, but I also don't want my scones sticking either. So, all right, let's kind of mash this together. I'm gonna kind of compact them down so I can cut them. Try to get them into a nice round disc. All right, I'm gonna cut these with my bench scraper. This is the best way that I have found to cut scones. Just makes it easy. Just like that. All right, here's my parchment paper. I'm gonna pick these up, put them on our baking pan. They're beautiful. These are gonna be absolutely delicious with a cup of tea, some good conversation while we sit and discuss the book of Psalms. And just like that, friends, there's our strawberry scones. They're going in the oven at 425 for about 20 minutes. All right, friends, here's our beautiful strawberry scones. We're gonna mix up a little lemon glaze real quick to put on these, and then we are out the door for Bible study. I'm gonna put just a little bit of powdered sugar in here. I'm gonna use just a little bit of some fresh lemon juice. Get that seed out of there. I see that one. I don't want that in my glaze. All right, I'm gonna put just a little bit of lemon juice in here. See if there's any more juice in there. And then I'm gonna put a little heavy cream. Oh, and there's a seed, friends. See, I thought I got them all, and there we go. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of heavy cream in here. Just a tiny bit. That just gives us a little bit of richness. But then we get the lemon flavor. Get that mixed up. Okay, I'm just gonna use my spoon. And we're just gonna drizzle this glaze over the top of these scones. I'm not going for a lot of glaze because those strawberries are pretty sweet. But I definitely want a little bit on there. All right, friends, there are our beautiful strawberry scones. We are off to Bible study. We will see you guys later this afternoon for another recipe. We are back in the kitchen. We're gonna get our bread started. It's almost bedtime for me, but this is an overnight bread. We're gonna make a focaccia bread that I just saw on Seed and Sparrow Homestead. Kelsey just made this. It looked incredible. I am taking lunch tomorrow to our friend's house. My husband goes and helps them every weekend. They're still cleaning up from the ice storm we had last year, so it's taken them a long time. They have a lot of acreage, a lot of stuff to clean up. It's just been a long process. So I'm gonna bring lunch to them tomorrow. So I'm gonna make a delicious sandwich out of some homemade focaccia bread. When I saw Kelsey do this, I said, yes, please, I wanna make this. So we're gonna get this going tonight because it does have to sit in the refrigerator at least overnight, 12 hours preferably. It says you can go up to 3 days in the fridge, but we'll have overnight. Should be plenty of time for it to do that. So let's get this started because I'm tired, friends. I need to get to bed. So let's get this in the fridge. So I've got 4 cups of all-purpose flour. We're gonna put in 2 teaspoons of salt. It calls for kosher salt. I'm using my Redmond's real salt. That is my favorite salt. So that's what I'm gonna use. So 2 teaspoons of salt. We need 2 teaspoons of yeast. I keep my yeast in my freezer so it stays nice and fresh. So even if it is just a little bit past the expiration date, it's still gonna be fine. So that's our dry. I've got 2 cups of warm water here. I'm gonna grab my Danish whisk. If you've never seen a Danish whisk, I use this thing all the time making bread. It's my absolute favorite. I love this thing. I'll leave a link. Actually, I think there is a link in my description box for this on Amazon. I use this for every kind of baking and I absolutely love this thing. All right, so we're gonna put our water in. Now this is a really, really super hydrated bread. This is an 88% hydration. So it's got a lot of water in it, but that's gonna be fine. So we're gonna get this mixed up, and then we need to put some oil in this bowl because we wanna have our dough really well oiled before we cover it up and let it go rest in the fridge and ferment, because if we don't have a lot of oil on this, it's gonna stick to whatever we're covering it with. So let's get this mixed up, get it all worked together. And I think I'm gonna have to get a little more water for my hands, because that's a trick, friends. If you are working with a really, really sticky dough, get your hand wet before you put your hand in the dough, and the water on your hand will keep that dough from sticking. So we're just gonna work this in as much as we can. And then I'm gonna grab my olive oil. And like I said, I'm gonna put some more water in my measuring cup just so I can get my hand nice and wet before I try to work with this dough to get oil in the bottom of this bowl. But I wanna get all of that flour. I don't want any dry flour sitting in this bowl when I put my dough in here, because that seems to dry out and it makes it really, really rough. So you can see this is a very shaggy dough, which is what you're looking for. This is not gonna be a smooth, beautiful dough yet, but it will be tomorrow. It's gonna be beautiful. So, all right, looks like I got it. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a plate and I'm gonna dump this onto a plate because I need to get some oil in this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna grab another bowl. That's what I'm gonna do. It's probably a good idea to do another bowl because this one's a little bigger and this thing is gonna rise quite a bit. So we wanna have some oil in the bottom and we're gonna put some more oil on top. I'm gonna put some water in this thing so I can get it on my hand. All right, I'm gonna take off my rings because, as always, I don't wanna get any dough in my rings. All right, hands wet. I'm just gonna scrape this off my whisk. I thought that was such a fascinating trick to use water on your hand to keep it from sticking. All right, so I'm gonna put some water on my hand. And you can see I can put my hand in this bowl and I can gather up this dough and it's not sticking to my hand. This is the trick that you use with sourdough. If you're gonna attempt to make a sourdough loaf, this is what you do when you're doing your stretch and folds. All right, so I've got this kind of gathered up. So here's my bowl with my oil in it. So we're just gonna dump this right in here. I'm gonna get off any of that. All right, put my hand back in the water because I want to get this a little bit more kind of together. And then we're going to put some more oil on top of this. And like I said, this is going to go in the refrigerator until tomorrow morning, and we're going to let this ferment. You can see how the dough did not stick to my hand because I had coated my hand in water. That is a genius trick if you're dealing with a really sticky or a really well hydrated dough. So let's put some saran wrap on this and go throw it in the fridge. All right, so we're gonna put some oil on this. Make sure it's got a good amount of olive oil on top. We're gonna put our saran wrap on it, and we are gonna put this dough to bed in the fridge until tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow we are going to make a delicious loaf of focaccia bread for the most delicious turkey sandwich. All right, we'll see you guys in the morning. All right, friends, good morning. I haven't even gotten ready for the day yet, but I wanted to get this dough turned out because it needs to sit for 2 hours. It needs to rise for at least 2 hours in a warm place. So, friends, again, look at how this dough has risen. Oh my word. Look at that. That is absolutely stunning dough. Absolutely beautiful. It's still very hydrated. It's still pretty sticky, still very wet. I've got a 13 by 9 or 9 by 13 casserole pan. That's what we're gonna bake it in. We're gonna get this dough turned out into this casserole pan, get it covered up with a tea towel. It's gonna go in the oven with the oven off, light on, to rise for 2.5 hours till it's doubled in size and it's nice and fluffy and beautiful. And then we're gonna bake this. It's gonna cool a little bit, and then we're gonna make some delicious sandwiches. Friends, we are making homemade potato chips, making homemade mayonnaise, and these are gonna be delicious. Our friends are gonna be so excited to have this lunch today. So let's get this turned out into our casserole pan, get it put in the oven so that it can finish rising, and we're gonna get on with this lunch. I've got my casserole pan here. I am gonna put just a little bit of oil in the bottom. Just a little bit. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and dump this dough. We're gonna just dump it. We're not gonna touch it. We're not gonna mess with it. We're just gonna dump it. Looks like I'm gonna have to scrape it a little bit, but that's what it looks like. We just dumped it straight out onto our casserole pan. We're not gonna deflate it. We're not gonna mess with it. We're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna let it go. I'm gonna move it just, no, I'm just gonna leave it. Okay, so we're just gonna leave it now. We're gonna let this go in the oven with the oven off, the light on. Let it rise for a couple of hours until it is nice and fluffy and beautiful, and then it's gonna get baked. All right, friends, now that I got ready for the day, I am ready to get started on the rest of our lunch that we've got going for today. The bread's still in the oven off, light on, getting it nice and bubbly and beautiful. We're gonna start our potato chips, and then we're gonna make some homemade mayonnaise. I'm excited about that. I'm making a basil lemon mayonnaise to go with our turkey sandwiches today. Super excited about this menu. So let's get these potatoes in some water so they can sit there and soak for about 30 minutes because I want them to get a lot of that starch off of there before we start to fry them. So let's get these in this water. So I just have my mandolin. I already went ahead and tested the size that I'm cutting these, and I'm cutting them pretty thin, as you can see. So we're just gonna slice these right into this water. I cannot find my guard, so friends, don't do what I'm doing. I'm gonna be very careful since I don't have my guard. I cleaned my office a couple of weeks ago, and I cannot find what happened to my guard for my mandolin. So I'm just gonna be super careful. We're gonna get all these sliced into this water. When you're making French fries or potato chips from homemade, you want to soak them in water because you don't want all of that starch. That starch will keep the potato from getting crispy. We're gonna stop right there. I think 4 potatoes will be plenty. There's only 4 of us eating lunch, and you probably only need a small handful of potato chips with your sandwich. All right, so for our mayonnaise, we need 2 egg yolks, and these are organic eggs. I could not get farm fresh. I did not have time to go and get farm fresh, but these organic ones from the store should be fine. We're gonna do some lemon juice. I'll leave a link in the description box for you guys for this mayonnaise. We need to put in a little bit of dry mustard, and my favorite is the Coleman's brand dry mustard. We're gonna put in about 1/2 teaspoon. We're gonna put in just a little bit of salt. And we're gonna start off with about 1/4 cup of oil in here just to get it moving. And then we're gonna slowly start adding the rest of our oil into this. That's how easy mayonnaise is. You can make homemade mayonnaise anytime. You don't have to go with the stuff from the grocery store, which has got all kinds of things in it that is not good for you. So we're gonna get this going. Let's take a look at it. Let's see what our mayonnaise looks like. Wow, friends, look at that. That is beautiful. Let's give it a quick taste and see where we're at. Look at the color on that and the texture. That is beautiful. Wow, that is so good. All right, we're gonna add our seasonings into this now. I'm gonna add in a little bit of, because we're making a flavored mayonnaise. So we're gonna add a little bit of garlic powder in here. I don't wanna do fresh garlic because that's gonna be a little bit too pungent. Some fresh basil that I just pulled off my plant that is over here in my window. We're gonna put that in here, and I'm just gonna tear these. I don't wanna chop it and bruise the leaves. They're gonna get a little bit bruised anyway when you mix them up in here with this mayonnaise, but I think we're gonna go just a touch more lemon juice. Okay, let's go ahead and give this a mix. I can smell that basil in there. Look at that. All right, let's give this another taste. I'm just gonna use my teaspoon. Oh, wow. That is so good. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect, friends. That is so good. All right, we're gonna let this sit in the fridge and just kind of chill until we are ready to make our turkey sandwiches. All right, friends, our bread has risen now for about 2.5 hours, pretty close. We're gonna pull this out. We're gonna get it finished. I have my oven preheating. So the directions say to preheat it to 425. I know that my oven cooks pretty hot. So I'm gonna cook at 400 instead of 425 because I don't wanna take a chance of burning this beautiful focaccia bread before it's done. So we're just gonna go at 400. And friends, look at this. Is that not a beautiful sight? So we are gonna put a little bit more olive oil on top. I'm gonna grab my fleur de sel. That's what I'm gonna put on top of this. It says to put rosemary. I am not a rosemary fan. I don't really care for rosemary, whether it's fresh or dried. I just don't like the texture of it. I don't mind it like a rubbed rosemary where it's been ground up, but I am not a fan of chewing on a piece of rosemary. So we're gonna skip the rosemary. I'm just gonna go simple fleur de sel and probably some dehydrated parsley. Let me grab my parsley. Chives, here we go. Just gonna do a little bit of parsley on this. Olive oil, sea salt, parsley, and we're gonna call it good with that because we've got our delicious basil mayonnaise that we just made. So we're gonna get this dough pushed down. Now what makes focaccia bread its signature, you can tell it, is the dimples. And you put the dimples in with your fingers. So really clean hands because you're gonna be pushing your fingers into this dough. So I've got my olive oil. Let's get this done. So you can see our dough. It did kind of pull over on this side, which is fine. But we're gonna go ahead and put on a little bit more olive oil. Olive oil really is the secret to really, really good focaccia bread. The olive oil down in the bottom down there almost kind of, this is the wrong word, but it almost fries the dough and it makes it super, super crispy on the bottom. So we're just gonna take our fingers and we're just gonna kind of put those signature dimples, kind of pushing it. We wanna get it all the way over on this side, but just like that. The olive oil keeps it from sticking to your fingers. That looks perfect. I'm gonna wash my hands really fast so I can touch my herbs. Put a little bit of fleur de sel on here. If you have kosher salt, by all means use that. I look for any opportunity I have to use my fleur de sel. So that's what we're gonna use. It's just a flaky sea salt is what fleur de sel is. It has a beautiful crunch to it. Really has a great texture, great flavor. So we're just gonna put that fleur de sel on here. I want this bread to have really, really great flavor. Should have dried my hands a little bit better so I can touch it, but that's okay. We're gonna be fine. Like I said, I am not going to do the rosemary. If you are a rosemary fan, by all means use it, but I'm not going to. So we are just gonna do a little bit of parsley. You know what? Whoa. I actually have some basil. Let's do some dried basil because we're doing a basil mayonnaise on here. Let's do a dried basil on top. I think we need a little bit more flavor on here. So we're just gonna put a little bit of our dried basil on top of our bread, just like that. Now we're gonna come in with our parsley. We don't wanna go super heavy with the parsley, but we do want it to have some beautiful color on top. As soon as our oven is hot at 400, we're gonna go ahead and drop this bread in our oven and let it bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then when it comes out, we need to let this fully cool before we cut it. Same thing with any kind of fresh bread. It really has to cool, because if you don't let it fully cool and you cut into it, you're releasing all of that steam, and that's what makes our bread nice and soft and beautiful. So this is perfect. Look at that bread, friends. It's gonna go in our oven. We're gonna bake this for about 20-25 minutes. We're gonna start our potato chips. I have them right here on a towel, paper towel. I just put this on here to get some of the water off of them. I've got my oven. I've got my oil preheated to about 350. It's above 350 a little bit, because it's gonna lower as soon as I start putting these potato chips in there. So you wanna put them in a single piece at a time, because if you put in too many, you're really gonna bring down the temperature of your oil, and they're just gonna stick together. So you wanna put these in one at a time, and just really make sure that you're not overcrowding your oil while you're frying these. These potato chips are not gonna take but maybe 5 or 6 minutes to fry up. Like I said, just don't overcrowd your oil. I think that's gonna be enough. I want to give these a good little stir. I've got a paper towel over here on this side ready to go. I'm going to check my bread while we're just letting our chips cook. That bread looks beautiful. That bread sit there and cool before I cut it. Turn my oven off. I don't need that anymore. We're just going to keep stirring and checking our potato chips. We want these to get nice and crispy. So just keep kind of stirring them every couple of minutes. I was going to make a seasoning to put on these, but I just want to keep them really, really simple, really, really basic. So I just have some Redmond's real salt, and that's what I'm going to put on these, just to keep them nice and just really basic. I don't want to do a whole lot of anything to these. I really want that potato to come through. So we're just going to keep stirring these every couple of minutes, make sure that they're not sticking, and we're just going to keep frying up potato chips. All right, friends, so here is the first batch. I just seasoned these up a little bit of salt and pepper. Delicious. So I've got my second batch in here. We're just going to let these cook, let these fry, and we've got probably one more batch to go underneath these paper towels, and we're gonna have some delicious and fresh potato chips. Waiting for our chips to finish cooking, we're gonna go ahead and pull our focaccia bread out of our pan, and we're gonna get our sandwiches made. As we have our bread cut, I'm just gonna split these all open so I can get, oh, got one, I missed one for some reason. Let's get this one cut open. Focaccia bread is super, super crunchy on the outside, so you want to be really careful when you're cutting it. Delicious homemade basil mayonnaise on here. Looks like we made just enough mayonnaise. This is a Vermont cheddar that I got at Fred Meyer yesterday. I asked them to slice it pretty thin. So we're going to put probably 2 slices on each one. I'm going to put on some of our delicious sliced turkey. Probably 2 slices per sandwich, I think, is probably a good amount of turkey. I have a tomato. We're going to put a little tomato on this. And I don't want a super thick piece. So you're going to put just a couple slices on each sandwich. All right, there's our sandwiches. We're gonna put our tops on. I've cut some parchment paper and we're gonna wrap our sandwiches. So we're gonna put our sandwich in here. Make sure you get it together. We're gonna roll this down and then fold it over, and there is our sandwiches ready to go. All right, friends, I was running late, so I rushed out the door with lunch, got that out there. This is what's left of the chips. They were delicious. Everybody enjoyed them. They are still crunchy. Nothing like homemade potato chips. So friends, thank you guys so much for joining me in my kitchen as we made some really fun, homemade, delicious food. No chemicals, no funny stuff. It was all good ingredients, good clean things, and completely homemade. I loved getting to spend time with you guys in my kitchen as we are starting this journey together and seeing what we can do as far as making things without having all the chemicals, all the additives, all the natural flavoring that they put in food, but to really see what we can do from scratch in our kitchens. All of these things were super easy. Nothing was hard. That focaccia bread is fantastic. It made the best sandwich. We all really enjoyed it. I'll leave the link in the description box for Kelsey's channel. Seed and Sparrow Homestead is her channel, but she left the link in her description box for the recipe for that focaccia bread. I'll leave that link for you guys as well if you want to check out her channel, but also for the recipe for this focaccia bread because it's fantastic. It's super tasty, makes incredible sandwiches. You can do all kinds of things with that. That would be fantastic with a good pasta dinner. Anything like that would be great. So highly recommend that recipe as well as Kelsey's channel. Go check her out, show her some love. And friends, I'm excited about this journey. As I said before, not everything is going to be exactly perfect. It's not going to be all clean ingredients. It's not going to be exactly homemade, but we're going to do the best that we can to make small changes here and there, to start watching what we're eating, watching what we're bringing into our home, and make things homemade where we can. I know not everybody has time to do that. I get that. I fully get that, but I do. And so for myself, I'm going to try to do this as much as I possibly can. And yes, there's going to be times where I'm going to use something from the store. There's going to be a lot of times where I'm going to use something from the store because right now we're still working through our pantry and our fridge and our freezer for things that we already have. We're not going to waste those. We're still going to eat those, but I'm going to find other ways to use things to make things a little bit cleaner, a little bit healthier, eliminate some of the processed things in our life, in our diet, which I think is going to be super helpful. So excited to bring you guys along with me on this journey. I hope you guys will continue to join me as we find new fun ways to remake things that we've always purchased in the store before, but did not make them homemade and make them a little bit better for us. Getting to experience this together with you guys is super fun. I appreciate each one of you. All of you guys mean so much to me. I hope you guys know that. I hope you guys know how much I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me on this journey that I've been on. I appreciate each one of you that comment and like and subscribe and share the channel with your friends and family. That means so much to me, and I hope you guys will continue to do that. If you're new to my channel and this is the first time watching me, I hope that you guys will come back. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button up there and become part of our YouTube family. Come and join us as we are really starting a new adventure around here, getting to make things from scratch. As I keep saying this, but I'm still in the works looking for the right farm to start purchasing whole milk from, so that we can start making some cheese together. We can start making some homemade cream and all the things. I want to get into making all those things from scratch if I can. So come along with me on that journey as we start to look for these places, and I'm gonna take you guys along with me. I'm gonna bring you with me when I find the right farm, or maybe just go check out some farms and see if we can find the one that feels right for us. So friends, I hope you guys will subscribe if you haven't yet already. Please give this video a like, leave me some comments down below. And I just love getting to chat with you guys in the comments. I love this community that we've gotten to build over the last 2 years. It's been so fun. And you guys, each one of you, you just mean so much to me. Your time is very valuable to me, and I hope you guys know how much I appreciate each one of you. So friends, we will talk to you guys in the comments. Have a great day, and God bless.